Hey, what's going on, Prime Timers? It's Dominic, the Prime Time Treasure Hunter. Thanks a lot for coming by to check out another video. In this video, I want to talk to you about how to develop and implement a strategy and plan for how to manage a 30-day listing on eBay that's set up for buy it now or buy it now and best offer enabled. And I chose that because that's how the vast majority of people have their listings set up on eBay. Not only that, that's how I have the vast majority of my listings set up on eBay. Every once in a while, I'll run an auction, but that's rare. And I have videos where I've discussed auctions before. I'll talk about auctions some more, I'm sure, in the future as well. But again, this one is really designed more for the buy it now and or best offer enabled listings. This video is also designed for people who are either brand new or thinking about jumping into eBay and you're not sure what your strategy and plan should be. And it's also designed for people who aren't necessarily new, but you've noticed that your sales have slowed down to a level that you're not really comfortable with. And so you're looking for some other tips and strategies to use so you could implement those in your listings to generate those sales. So if you want to use all of the strategies that I show and, take this model and put it onto your own, that's absolutely fine. Go right ahead and do that. If you just want to take little bits and pieces to tweak your listings, that's fine too. And if you hear everything that I say here and everything you see, and at the end of it you decide you don't want to implement any of it, that's fine too. But at least maybe you'll get some ideas and tips that you could keep buried in your back pocket and pull out at a later point if you need to. It's always good to have the knowledge and the strategies from other people's experiences to to rely on when you need it. So take what I have to say and what other resellers have to say as well and decide what works best for you at the end of the day. And I'm going to start off with just a general comment before I go into my specific listings, which has to do with the buy it now setup and whether or not you should implement best offer. Now, if you have buy it now as the only way that people could get your items and you are doing amazingly well with your sales, you're very happy with where you're at, then by all means keep it that way and keep doing what you're doing. But if you have everything listed as buy it now and you notice that your sales are just not to a level you're comfortable with, that's when I would tell you to strongly consider implementing a best offer option on your listings. And I tell you that from experience. I used to have all of my items listed as buy it now only, but I noticed that my sales were trickling down to a level that I wasn't comfortable with. So I experimented, and that's good to do on eBay and these other platforms at times, is just to experiment with things and see how they work. It doesn't mean you have to always stay with it. You could always go back to how you were doing things if you don't like how it works. So I experimented with the best offer, and I noticed the day that I did it that within 20 minutes I started getting offers and started making more sales that I would not have made otherwise. And since then I haven't turned back, and that's been for a few years now. And I've just been doing well, not just, there are a few items that I have buy it now only on, but I don't start that way. I eventually get there, and I'll show you that when I get into my listings. But the vast majority of them do have best offer enabled, and it's been a successful model for me. Now, if you're worried about doing that because you think every single person is going to send you in an offer because you have best offer enabled, not true. I am going to show that to you in a future video. I've gathered data for a few years now to analyze that, and it's absolutely not the case. There is a percentage of people who will just come in and buy it now for two main reasons. One, they want it now. They don't want to wait. You have 48 hours to decide on whether or not you're going to accept the offer or counter offer, and during that time, someone else could swipe in and take it. They might want it for a present, or there's urgency to it, so they just come in and buy it. The second reason is that if you have your item priced competitively and fairly and it's the lowest price, some people are going to recognize that and they're just going to go in, they're going to purchase it because they're going to say to themselves, you know what, this person already has a fair price, I don't need to send an offer, I'm comfortable with the price the item is at, and they just go in and buy it. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're also worried about that, if you have best offer enabled, that you're going to have to deal with a whole bunch of lowball offers, well, that's true. You are going to get lowball offers that come in, but search my channel. I'm going to put a playlist together at some point for this, but for now, search my channel with the keywords either offer or lowball or negotiating or negotiation, And you'll see a lot of videos that I have dedicated to how to effectively manage those situations so that you could still make great sales, you know, on this platform and others, like if you're selling on Poshmark or, you know, Mercari, and you know, and still be successful with it. So with that, let me jump into my specific listings, and I'm going to show you a few things. So we're going to start with listings that I put up today. So we're at the, you know, the end point here. And what you ideally want, you want something starting every day, and you want something ending every day. You want a continuous flow of movement through your listings. That's very healthy. It looks good for the search engine as well. It looks like you have, to the search engine, activity on your account. So if you can do that, even if you just get up at least one item a day, that's good. Now let's talk about different pricing approaches. One that I like to use is if there's another item that's the exact same one as mine, like this one that I'm going to show you here. This is a beer tap from the Middle Ages a brewing company. It's the Wit one. Now you can see I have this nice white background on it. If you're curious how I got that and you didn't see my video that I did about 2 back, go check that one out where I talk about how to get this nice bright white background. Really helps make the item pop, especially on one like this. Really nice contrast. But when I looked for my competition on this item, I saw that there was another person that had it, and I'll show you that here. You could see that this is the other person. Now this person has it at $14.99 plus $7.25 shipping. And if we click on it, you'll see this person has 100% positive feedback like I do, and there's no defects in the item. So what I decide to do in this instance is, now we are exact competitors, is I want to beat that person's price. So I want, when someone is looking for this item, to select mine, all things being equal. So that's why I lowered my price, or didn't lower it, I mean I just put it below this person's at $19.99, because this person's comes out to be $22.25. And so, you know, if you put it at $21.99, that's not really going to be meaningful. So a meaningful difference here would be $19.99. And the key to being able to do that effectively so it works for your business is you need to source it low. So this item I sourced from the Got Junk collector. I've talked about him in other videos before. And if you're new to my channel, it's a person who worked for the company Got Junk, and he was taking items out of people's homes, not illegally, but instead of throwing them out, there were certain items he wanted to keep, and they were built up in a trailer. And so he contacted me one day and reached out to me, wanted me to come and help him liquidate his trailer. And he asked me, he said, "Do you like beer taps?" And I said, "What?" He goes, "Do you like beer taps?" I said, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I have this whole garbage bag here filled with beer taps if you want them." And so I just, you know, said, "Yeah, certainly." I took them, put them in my car, and I got such a great deal from this person overall for everything. I got like truckloads worth of stuff that I literally have cents, like a few cents invested in this piece if you work out the value per item that I paid for everything. So I could afford to go $19.99, and keep in mind that I am integrating the shipping cost into the item. So this person here is charging $7.25 shipping, while I'm implementing part of that into my cost when I factor in to price it at $19.99. So that's one strategy to use on how to price things from the outset. You know, when you got to remember that when the listing starts, when it's brand new, that's when it gets the most excitement, because it's fresh, it comes up as new listing, eBay gives it priority. And those first few weeks, those first few days or that first week, that's the most critical point in which you'd like to see if you can make that sale based on your item being fresh. If not, if a week goes by and you haven't made that sale, that's when I'm going to talk to you about some other strategies that you could use to start making your listings more dynamic, as opposed to just being a static price that stays there for 30 days. That's going to make it much less likely you're going to make the sale if you don't move that price at all. Now, another strategy that I'll use here is, let's take this one here. So this is a set of comic books that I put up earlier today. There's 4 comics. Now this one, I did have competition on. There is another person who's selling it, but the person's selling it for $40. Now, comic books is an area I specialize in. Many of you know that, and I know the market, and I know no one is going to pay $40 for these 4 comics, because the person had it for $34.99 plus $6 shipping. No one's ever going to pay that. So the price is just too out there. So even if I priced it at $34.99, I know I'm personally wasting my time, even though I'd be under where that person is. I know that the market for these books, based on comps research, is I'll be happy if I could get 10 bucks out of it. Now I put it up to $14.99 because there is a person out there that has them for $40, so I could afford to at least bump it up 5 bucks. Gives me a little bit of negotiating room, and so you know, if someone offers me $10, I could come back at $12.50, and I could even take the $10 if I need to and still be profitable on the item. So that's another strategy to use. This is another strategy I'm going to show you here. It's also to do with comic books, but you could use it with whatever set or lot of items that you have where there is not an identical comp out there. So people ask me that a lot, you know, how do you come up with a comp if there's not an identical matching item? This is 13 East of West comic books. If you're looking for comic book titles to jot down, to be on the lookout for, this is one you may not have thought of if you haven't heard of the title before, but it is a very, very popular series, so make sure you jot that down. East of West. This is what we call mixed lot. It's not continuous. It's not a complete run. It starts at issue 19, and we got like 19 through 29, and then we got 32 and 33 sprinkled in there. And that's what happens sometimes when you buy these big comic collections, is they're not always complete, and so sometimes you have to sell them in lots like this, but people will still buy them as long as you have them in these little lots. So no one obviously would have this exact same set of one. So you search and you look at the comps and you say, all right, well, what do other people have? What have people done? And so here you could see there were 5 of these books that sold for $7.99 plus $6.74 shipping. So you add that up. And in fact, I'll show you right here, and this is the end of my calculations here, but I'll show you what I did here. I just go $7.99. and then I add it to $6.74 because that's the shipping cost. Again, we want to implement that into the price since I do a free shipping model. $14.73, right? So we divide that by by $5 books. And so that gives us the unit price. This is how much, this tells you how much someone was willing to pay per book, about $3. So I have 13 books, so I'm going to multiply that out by 13. And that gives me $38.29. And so I decided to price it at $39.99. That felt like a good price. That gives me some negotiating room if I need it. And it tells me also a way that I could price my items so I'm competitive and I have a realistic price compared to what people have paid in the past based, again, on market research. Now, there's some items that I would advise you put out there that you long tail. By long tailing, that means you're willing to let it sit out there for a really long time. And this is the item that I put up today. And I have this item up for $500. Why do I have it up for $500? Because when I look at my comps research on this and I compare to what other people have set up for it right now. In fact, if we type in right now horseshoe, because that's what it is, it's a horseshoe brand. And I also got this from the Got Junk guy, clothes ringer. And let me type that whole thing in here, clothes ring. I'll show you what I saw. Now, mine is a model 350. That's very hard to find. And I saw when I was looking in terms of what my current competition is for this. So we'll hit search, and I'm going to go for buy it now, and I'm going to go from high to low. It should still be up. Let's see. If not, I'll just describe to you what I'm talking about. Yeah, here it is. So someone has one that is nearly identical to mine. It's a little bit better condition, but you see here the person has it for $495 plus $45 shipping with 12 watchers. Now, 12 watchers, that's a lot of watchers, and that means there's very high interest in this item, even for that price. So that is why I have mine listed at $49.99. I just took off the $45 shipping. I'm all in profit on this collection from the Got Junk collector, so I really don't care if it. This is why people ask, you know, how do you do this free shipping model when you have these big giant items? Listen, if I have nothing invested into this piece anymore and someone wants to pay me $500, and even if worst case, let's say it cost me $50 to ship it, what do I care? I'm going to make $450. I mean, yeah, we got to take out the eBay fees and, you know, seller fees and stuff like that, PayPal fees and things, but I'm still going to make over $400 on it. So, you know, that doesn't matter to me. So that's why I'm able to do that type of setup. Now, let's go back over here. So that's my item. And what you want to do is, over the course of time, you know, you're going to want to monitor your watchers. I think your watchers are important. Your watchers tell you if you have interest in your items. Now, certainly people could come in and they could purchase your items even if there's no watcher on it. So watchers in and of itself don't always tell you whether or not you're going to make a sale, but it is an indicator of interest. And so what I like to do is, once 7 days have passed, I consider that a week has gone by, the newness of the item has worn off. And so weeks gone by, what I'm going to do is I am going to go in and I'm going to start modifying my prices, and I'm going to start lowering things. I'm going to start lowering the prices if I can do that, if I could still absorb the price lowering and make a profit on it. So I'll show you a couple examples here actually. So right now, for example, you could see here, I don't have a lot of views on this item, and probably because my price is a bit high on it. And so I was experimenting with these pieces. There are a lot of different art pieces that I bought with some certificates of authenticity and some art prints. This is one of them from Al Rio. This one's not getting a lot of interest. Part of it could be that the price is $24.99, so I'm comfortable. I'm in full profit from this collection that I got with comics. So I'm just going to lower it down to $19.99. I'll take $5 off of it now after a week's gone by, and I'm comfortable with that. Now, if another week goes by and it hasn't sold, once I'm at the $19.99 price, I'm not going to keep lowering it $5. I'm going to lower it $1, and I'm happy to keep doing that every single week until I get to a point that it either doesn't sell at a level I'm comfortable with. So let's say $9.99, $8.99, something like that. I'm not going to go much lower than that on the item eventually. And so if it doesn't, I'm going to combine it with another piece and try to sell it that way. Or I'll just switch it to buy it now. So once you get it down to a point over time where you're not comfortable putting it any lower, you don't want to reduce the price at all, then that's when you switch it to buy it now model. And then, at a certain point, you've got to decide, how many times are you going to keep it at buy it now and it doesn't sell before you decide whether or not to combine it with another piece, make a small lot out of it to make it more sellable. So I do that kind of thing. A lot. Now, I haven't talked about sales here, like setting up an official sale. If you want to set up a sale, you could do that. For example, if you want to take the approach of keeping this priced at $24.99 and putting the sale price as $19.99, you can do that. I don't do that. I do sales in a way like this right now is technically a sale. I had it at $25. Now I brought it down to $19.99. So I am offering a sale. I'm just not advertising it that it's a sale. But especially when you have watchers on items, people are going to know that. eBay's going to notify them that you have lowered your price. And now there's an opportunity to get it for lower. So remember, eBay wants to generate that sale so they get their commission. And so they're always doing things to try to promote your items to buyers. So here's another one right here. This one, $24.50. This is a bigger piece, so I don't want to lower it so much. So I'm just going to bring it down to $22.50 right now. So that's another example of how I'm just going through and I'm doing some tweaks. Now you could see here, and this is a good point. You see this print here below. It says Al Rio. It's an Al Rio print. That's the name of the artist. I have a bunch of these that I came across in a collection. And right now eBay's being a pain. Sometimes with this, sometimes you're gonna have to go through this way with it. Boy, that's annoying. Sometimes I hate that. You have to go through the full revision process to lower the price. So now I'm gonna have to go in this way to lower it. And because sometimes it gets jammed doing what I was just trying to do, but usually it works. But of course, now that I'm doing a video on it, it jams up. So I'm just going to update that. And I'm going to have to go back to that listing, in which I'll just talk you through it while I get back to it. So we're going to revise another. You see there was another Al Rio print there. And the other Al Rio print was one that was for $24.95 and had 2 watchers on it. Now, when I put that up, I had no idea that that would get 2 watchers. The other one, as you saw, didn't have any watchers on it. And so you have to be willing to just kind of throw them out there at a higher price sometimes because they're unique pieces, and just see what the market's going to do with it. So this one that one had more interest than the prior one that I just lowered the price. And this is an important part of my strategy. This one here, where is it? The one that I lowered to $19.99. I'm comfortable doing that because I don't have any watchers on it. But this one, there was another one here. Where's the one? Oh yeah, this one here. Okay, so we go down to this one. I have it at $24.99 with 2 watchers, 86 views. And that has Supergirl in it and the Spectre. I'm not lowering that one by $5 because I know I have more interest in it based on the data. So I'm just going to lower that one to $22.50. So I'll take $2.50 off instead of $5. So that's an important point of my strategy. Use watchers to modify how much you're going to reduce the price. So I'm not going to waste your time, go through all these. I'll do them all later, but I want to show you once things hit that 22-day point, because that means 7 days have passed. That's when I suggest going in and starting to lower the price on your listings. Now, what I also do, this is Friday, okay? So on Friday, what I do is I go through all of my listings and I start lowering the prices on ones that I could do a price lowering for. So let's go to, we'll go, sorry, my eBay. Sorry, I meant to go here. Selling. And we'll bring up the listings that are closest to ending to show you the kind of thing that I would do today. So we're going to go to my active listings. And so what I do this every single Friday, is I will go through them and I will lower the price on everything up to a certain point, and I'll tell you what I mean. So this one is going to end, let's say, in an hour. Okay, not much time left. Chances are it's not going to sell, but I'll just put the price down for $9.99. Now, the reason, this is why you want items ending every day and you want items starting every day, because there is a percentage of items you will sell just based on the fact that they are ending, and eBay gives priority to showcasing them again and letting people know, hey, this is ending soon and you might want to purchase it because you don't know if the seller is going to list it again. So you can see here, here's an item that I have for $7.99. That's the lowest I'm going with it. I'm convinced there's someone out there that's going to buy it just because of the type of item it is. It's kind of a novelty piece. It's not going to sell this time around, most likely. Maybe it will in the next 7 hours, but if it doesn't, I don't mind. I'll relist it and I'll hit sell similar and I'll keep it going. So we'll see what happens there. Or, I'll just take another item here. Here's the Batman item, okay? This is a Batman toy. It's light. It's easy to ship. It's going to go first class. I'll lower this one $1 to $15.99. So, where the price is at right now is going to factor in also in terms of how much you're going to lower it. I'm not going to lower that $4, $5 because it's already at $16.99. Now, if it's an item, let's take one that's more expensive and we could do, maybe a better price drop off of it. Let me find one here that's more of a pricier type of item. Let's go down. Let's see one that's more expensive. Let's see. We'll keep going. Well, you know what? Well, no, I saw a $44.999 item that I could drop down to $39.99. But let's take here's one. Okay. $79.99 item. Now this is a Star Trek. If Esme's still watching this is a Star Trek signed photo. 49 views, but no one has decided to watch it yet. I have not had any offers on it. So I purposely put my price up high to start. I'd rather not make the sale initially because my price is too high than to give it away at a price because I put it too low by accident. So that's another strategy that I use for items that are unique, is I don't want to give them away. And so what I'll do here, now that I could be comfortable knowing that it's gone for a while, hasn't sold, I could lower this one $10 and I could put it down to $69.99. So, it really, again, depends on how much you have invested in it, depends on how the market's responding to it, and that's going to affect whether or not, you do a big price drop or a small price drop on the item. Now, another thing that I do is every Wednesday, I do the make an offer to watchers. So if you're not familiar with that, eBay does have a basically a setup where you could go in and you could make offers to the vast majority of people who are watching your items. And if you're not familiar how to do that, I do have a video on that. I'll link to it down below, or I'll also put a link to it at the end of this video. So go check that out and you could see that. And I purposely do that on Wednesday, as I described in the video, because Friday's the day where I do my price drop. So I will make the offer to people often at what I'm going to drop it to in just a few days. So in other words, you know, I will send an offer to someone on Wednesday who's, if someone was watching this, to, let's say, $69.99, just to see if I could generate the sale that day. And if they take it, that's great. If not, then you know, on Friday I'll lower the price and we'll see what happens on Friday with it. So that's another strategy that you could use, in terms of doing the make an offer to your watchers. And you don't have to do it on just one day like I do. If you want to just sprinkle that throughout the week, make 5 offers on Monday, 5 offers on Tuesday, 5 offers on Wednesday, you know, you could try that out as well and experiment it. It's all up to you in terms of how you want to handle it. And so basically, this is something that I'm going through every week, and I'm looking at the items. And Wednesday and Friday for me are my big days where I'll go and I'll lower those prices and I'll do those adjustments. And pretty much every day I'm making some sort of adjustment, because if you are listing things every day, chances are not everything you're listing that day is going to sell. And so you're going to get to that point where you get to that 22-day mark, as we saw down here, where you have items that just didn't sell yet, like this potato chip bin, and there's been people who've been interested in it, but I'll lower it down to $47.50 here. Okay, because I have had offers come in on it, so I use that to judge. So that'll be a $2.50 price drop, and we'll see if that helps generate the sale. We have a watcher on it. But so every day there's usually some items that I'm adjusting in terms of price. Now, one thing I should also tell you is, now that it is Friday, right? It's Friday, so that's the day I said I go through and I lower all of my prices. Well, that's true, except I'm not going to lower any prices that are at the 20-day mark or earlier. And the reason is, for these items that are at the 20-day mark, I just lowered the price 2 days ago. So I'm not going to lower the price another $5, for example, if I just lowered it $5 2 days ago. I'm going to wait till that plays out another week, then it will be eligible for a price drop in my model. And of course, all these other items down here, I am not going to lower the price. Anything within those first 10 days, I am not going to lower the price on that set day where I lower all of the prices in my eBay store. Now, you could see here there are some items that I have set up for buy it now. This one actually I have accidentally set up for buy it now. This should be buy it now best offer enabled. So I'm going to go in and fix that a little bit later. But there are some items that I have, and I showed you one earlier. It was that hat that I'm just not comfortable going any lower than that. I don't want to sell things for less than $7.99, so that's the lowest you know, that I'm going to do on that item. But you can also see the vast majority of my items here, as I'm scrolling down, are buy it now best offer. Now this one here, this is intentional. It should be buy it now. It's 10 comic books for $9.99. I feel that's a really fair price, and when you factor in the shipping, I'm not going lower than that, so it could stay up there. That watcher could stay there forever as far as I'm concerned. I am not lowering the price. If the person you know, doesn't want to pay $10, then it's going to go to someone else who will. And that's how you make things into more of a seller's market than a buyer's market sometimes, is that, you know, you have to have some items up there where you're just comfortable letting it sit, letting it ride out, and waiting it out. But you know, you could struggle though, and this gets back to what I was saying earlier, if you have all your items set up that way, you know, then you could find yourself stuck and not making any sales. So you really want to have a diversity in terms of the types of items that you have in your store, in terms of content, but also in terms of strategies and approaches, in terms of how you're adjusting the prices over time, and have some items in there that you're willing to long tail. Like you can see here, I'll open this up and make this bigger. This is a plain set that I have up here for, you know, $175. You know, when I make that sale, and at some point that I will, because I believe that one has a bunch of watchers on it already, Let's see. No, it has one. It had a few watchers on it earlier, but so it has one watcher on it at 174, and we'll see what happens with it. But I don't mind long tailing that one and waiting it out. And if it doesn't sell this time around, that's okay. Don't panic. Be okay with just putting it up for another 30 days, and then use the same approach from that point forwards, again, until you get to a point where you think either this item just isn't going to sell and I've got to come up with some other creative way to sell it, which again is usually combining it with another item, or you could try auctioning it off, but you might take a loss if you do that, so you have to be careful with that. Or you could come up with other strategies in terms what you want to do. You might want to give it away as a giveaway if you run a social media group, or you might want to donate it somewhere, that sort of thing. So it's up to you, but that's the general strategy. Those are the general tips that I use. If you have any questions for me on what I went over here, please let me know, or if you just have other questions in general, let me know that as well. I'll be happy to answer them. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please make sure that you join my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. There's over 5,600 people, almost 5,700, and we have the 1-year anniversary show, live show here. It's going to be Saturday night, the 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be giveaways, a $50 Amazon gift card, so go set your alerts for it. It's already up in terms of the clip for it and in the main page here at the Primetime Treasure Hunter YouTube channel. And go check me out on Instagram. I have a lot of content there that's unique to Instagram that I don't have here. Lots of video clips, tips, tricks, strategies, that sort of thing. Go check that out. That's at prime_time_treasure. And I'll see you all at the next video, everyone. Take care.